Think about the last time a stranger started a conversation with you in public. Maybe on the train, maybe in a waiting room, maybe in line somewhere. How did it feel? Probably a little weird, maybe even uncomfortable. Now think about this. 50 years ago, that was just called being a person, and the fact that it now feels strange tells us something important about what we've quietly lost. There's a concept sociologists call weak ties, the loose, low stakes connections you have with acquaintances, neighbors, baristas, people you see regularly but don't know well. Research from the 1970s by Mark Granovetter showed that these weak ties are disproportionately valuable. They expose you to new ideas, new opportunities, new social worlds. Most people find their jobs through weak ties, not close friends. Most major life changes begin with a casual conversation. And weak ties start with talking to strangers. But over the past 2 decades, we've systematically dismantled every structure that used to make that easy. Headphone signal, don't talk to me. Phones give us something to look at when we don't want to make eye contact. Urban design has moved away from shared public spaces. Self-checkout removes the last human interaction from grocery shopping, and remote work eliminated the office, one of the most reliable places for random human contact. We didn't decide to stop talking to strangers. We just built an environment where it became increasingly unnatural, and then we forgot we ever did it at all. Here's what makes this strange. We think we don't want to talk to strangers, but we're wrong. Psychologists Nicholas Epley and Juliana Schroeder ran a series of experiments on commuters. They asked people to either sit in silence as normal or to strike up a conversation with whoever sat next to them. Before the experiment, almost everyone predicted that talking to a stranger would be awkward and unpleasant, and almost everyone who actually did it reported a significantly better commute. More enjoyable, more connected, even energizing. The strangers weren't annoying, they were interesting. The problem was the prediction. We systematically overestimate how awkward talking to strangers will be, and underestimate how good it will feel. And we make that miscalculation every single day, thousands of times across millions of people, each of us quietly convinced that the person next to us doesn't want to be bothered, while they're thinking the exact same thing about us. Think about what a neighborhood looked like in 1970. People knew their neighbors by name. Kids played outside with whoever was around. Adults bumped into each other at the hardware store, at the church hall, at the bowling alley on Thursday nights. Not because they were better people, but because the architecture of daily life kept putting them in the same room. Robert Putnam tracked the collapse of that world across decades and found something striking. It's not just that we have fewer close friends, it's that the entire texture of social life has thinned. The collisions are gone, and with them, something we rarely stop to think about. Think about how many people you would never know existed if your life depended only on your closest friends. The teacher who changed how you see the world. The colleague who introduced you to your future partner. The stranger at a party who said one thing that stayed with you for years. Most meaningful relationships don't begin as meaningful relationships. They begin as accidents, as collisions, as two people ending up in the same room for no particular reason. When we remove those accidents from daily life, we don't just lose the conversations, we lose everything those conversations might have become. The research on this is actually hopeful. You don't need to become an extrovert. You don't need to have long conversations. The benefits of weak tie connection come from tiny moments, a comment, a question, a smile, with eye contact. Studies by Gillian Sandstrom found that people who had more minimal social interactions throughout their day, brief exchanges with cashiers, a nod to a neighbor, a word with the person in the elevator, reported higher well-being and a stronger sense of belonging than people who had fewer of those interactions, even if they had the same number of close friendships. The quantity of your deep relationships matters less than you think. The daily texture of small human contact matters more. So here's the only thing this video is actually asking you to do. Once today, take out one earbud, look up, say something to whoever's there, not because it'll change your life, but because it might change their day, and because you're better at this than you think. We live in the most connected era in human history and one of the loneliest. Part of that is because we confuse connectivity with contact. 1,000 followers is not the same as a conversation with the stranger next to you. We spent 20 years building tools to connect everyone and quietly stop talking to the people standing right beside us. And the more we outsource human contact to screens, the more we forget that the person in front of us was always the point. The next time you have an easy out, the headphones, the phone, the eyes down, you could take it, or you could see what happens if you don't. Most people are asking the same questions. Few take the time to explore them. Keep exploring.